All right, good afternoon, cyber traders. Welcome on back here this Wednesday, November 30th, end of the pay period here this Wednesday afternoon. So great to see Chuck and all of our members inside inside the cyber group trading room right now. Ray, Jeff, Chuck, and the rest of us just joining us right now. Michael, Jeff, and Andre and Ron, all of us just otherwise Leda included. And otherwise, if you're just joining us back on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, hey folks, there is a lot to talk about here. Obviously, we just came off of Fed Chair Powell giving some remarks, a speech, and actually on quite a surprise, market ended up having a big pop. Anytime this guy gets behind a microphone, it's just bad news. Like this guy always smack talks the market, always leads to a big drop after his speeches. And with that, actually, the first headline I posted in the chat, it didn't sound too good. So actually, let me pull that up. But obviously, the markets ended up having a huge pop right away after he finished, and we'll get to the better of the two headlines. So, I wrote this in the chat board shortly after 1:30. I'll just be quick with it. It says, Fed's Powell says that the Fed has a long way to go in bringing inflation down, says the ongoing rate increases will be appropriate to bring inflation down, says inflation remains far too high, says the Fed will need to hold policy at restrictive levels, quote unquote, for some time. Well, that doesn't sound too good, does it? Nothing good from that headline, right? And I was on a coaching call with one of our students, Glenn, back then. And like once we saw the pop, we were thinking, okay, it could be a head fake. I mean, just based off that initial headline, I'm like, okay, that could be a total pump and dump. Well, it kept giving, right? The SPY ended up holding. And instead of making that continued pullback, it pushed back up. And right there, I said to him, like, all right, well, there had to have been something else that came out. And I think the point that people are talking about here, if anything, from Powell is that basically, in so many words, he said on top that the rate hikes are going to become smaller over time, potentially beginning with December. That's essentially what he had said on top. So I think a lot of traders are kind of taking that into consideration more than anything. And with that, we'll take a big pop, right, any day of the week, and especially coming off afternoon time like this. So, for right now, although the SPY is beginning to make a small little dip here on the 5-minute, I feel like it's still holding well enough to where we could expect continuation going into the close. With that, I'm in on one trade myself, and we'll get to that one actually in just a bit. It's on the top percent gainers list. But for right now, Shopify, one of our new gold students, Ravina, ended up just bringing this one up to me, asking where the levels are, where the next big level is essentially on it. Shopify, we've been following as a swing trade. It's been a great day trade on top. And with that, this has just been smooth sailing. Now, finally, I should say that, breaking above 40. I say finally because the last 2 days, this has been a mess from $40. Really, if you put a line at 40, the last 2 days back from the beginning of this week until right now, pop and drop, pop and drop. Now, finally, you're getting a higher high. So let's see this materialize over 40 as a key level here on the 1-minute chart. Right now, it's beginning to slowly pull back. Wouldn't shock me if it ends up dipping at least closer towards that 40 level. And yeah, Shopify is going to be one of many stocks that we're going to put on our watch list to at least begin. With the market pushing up as much as it already did so far, there's a lot that's going to be up that 5% or more that we look for, folks. So really our biggest task during this meeting is to make sure we don't build up like a 50 stock watch list. All right. And try and cap it off at 12 if I can. Michael says people think a soft landing is possible. Yeah, I think over time it's going to pull back. I do think over time there's a lot more to come. Hey, you hear still a lot of bigwigs saying, watch out, save your money. There's going to be another recession coming. And truth be told, they were right the first time they said that at the beginning of this damn year. So, as much as we want to be jaded by big money and think that they're out against us, they were right actually in the beginning of this year. They could still certainly be right for what's to come. Andre saying in the chat board also of ours here, Powell did not say anything negative, which was good. Now, look at the headline I posted in the chat board. That doesn't sound too good to begin with, right? It sounds like more doom and gloom, at least. The headline I posted at 1:30 Eastern. But again, it was kind of what he said afterwards as to where, the Fed rate hikes are going to get smaller over time. So that provides some optimism at least, right? Yeah, for right now, Shopify on our list to begin. Let me get to the stock I am in currently right now. I think Chuck just closed out on his position for it at least. Woof, Chuck got in from basically 11 out at 11.10, too slow to hold. And I agree from his entry point. Hey, nice exit. You can get right back in. So quick in and out. He killed it earlier on a couple of other trades. I'm in on this trade right now from 1081. Ended up having a big level there from the morning, and at least coming off the Fed decision, or not decision, coming off the Fed speech, at least from Powell, this was moving up over time, and I ended up just taking the break right above 1080. Thankfully, it worked out really well. And for right now, I took half my position out, Chuck. I took half my position out a little bit earlier before we started this meeting. Still got half left, though. A little for fun shares. And, if you have a better cushion, it gives you a better ability to try and hope and hold, right? So, hey, if you're in from 11, you don't have as good of a leash, take the money and run. It's slow. It's stagnant right now. I hope to see a lot more on this trade. It's been holding under the pre-market highs here so far. So, Petco, woof. I'm going to put on our watch list here. It was moving in pre-market, like I had said, coming off earnings. It was moving just like shortly after we posted the pre-market watch list. So with that, we called it out afterwards inside our live trading room and pushed up a little bit at the time then. All right. Now I'll tell you though, we're going to find a lot more as we go from top to bottom here, folks. Mike C saying that there is a sound echo. I don't know how that would be, at least here. This is my normal setup. So just do a quick log out, log back in. I've been on the stick since 9:30 today with maybe 10-minute break in between. It could honestly just be my voice. My voice is crap right now. So it could just be that. This is like a record day for me, breaking personal records today on the mic. So let's go from top to bottom. Let's see what we got here, folks, otherwise. Tops here so far. I mean, hey, let's just go over this one while we can. The stock ended up having a nice squeeze earlier this morning. It's been a historic pop and drop type of play. It wasn't even $45 last year, $35 last year. That's all based off of reverse stock splits. So, it's saying that the only reason they're stock split, doing the reverse splits to begin with is to remain above NASDAQ requirements. Here, at least one thing I ended up doing. Oh, whoops, that's an extension. My bad. I ended up using fib sets on these today, just given the squeezes up. You go from bottom to top, and you could see how well the 38.2% held really well here at 358. I didn't think it was going to continue to hold even here, though, because for as much as it held the first couple of times, it didn't really continue. So the more it needles it should really crash and burn. So if this thing wants to go, if we want this thing to go, I think it needs to go pretty soon from right now. I'll put this on the side list, come back to it at the end. We keep it going. XPEV, let's just briefly talk about this also, because what a run the stock had. Between all of the Chinese, the China stocks really killed it today altogether, but the Chinese EVs, XPEV, NIO, Li, we call these out damn near every day at this point, right? I mean, if it's not NIO, it's Li, and some other days it's the XPEV stock here. But, news came out this morning, I think, on this XPEV, but nonetheless, the talking point on this for me, I think, is that XPEV had the lowest float of them. They're all very high floats, actually, believe it or not. Every one of them is like super high float. XPEV, NIO, Li. I don't think they're low float stocks. XPEV simply had the lowest of them. With that, though, if they're all shorted pretty heavily, well, eventually the shorts are going to cover. For the shorts to cover on a lower float stock, the rule of thumb would often be that it will make the more explosive move. XPEV up 48% today. Li, well, hey, up 20%, having a great day. NIO up 21%. Well, what's performing the best? XPEV. So that's the one I personally had the most interest in early this morning, and it's been a really good trade all throughout the day. Actually, I missed out on this entire initial run. I ended up following the Wolf stock at first, and for what it's worth, it did all right. But missed out on this trade on XPEV, and then I ended up getting in later on. So as this broke over 1016, this led to a really nice push. There was about a 4 million share block print that got filled on the XPEV trade right at 1016. And now that I'm actually remembering that in the moment here, allow me to bring up Bookmap. So got a few of these dots, green dots, right? I mean, the biggest or the strongest. Well, when you put your cursor over this, that doesn't read 396,000. If it did, I'd say that's pretty big. Folks, that reads 3.96 million shares as in. So you'd like to think, if we're following the big money, what's going to happen if this could re-break above resistance? It was at 1016, so pretty much this blue line right here. It broke right above it. I got filled off support right here. Led to a great squeeze up from that point. So late to the party myself, missed out on the majority of the run, honestly. But it led to a really good squeeze up shortly after. Question from one of our new students, Mike, just asking, could everyone see this? Meaning his chat. Yes, everyone can see your chat there, Mike. You're good to go. With that, though, hey, XPEV continuing to hold pretty strong near the highs. So, for right now, hey, I'm going to put this on our watch list, at least for right now, the XPEV. Mike saying, I mean the book map. Book map should not be showing on the screen right now. I had it up just before. Right now, live, present time, should not be showing book map, should just be on the platform. But had it up a moment ago. XPEV, I'll put on our watch list here in the meantime. The lead trade, for what it's worth, is holding perhaps even better to the highs right now. Really, it is. Doing a good job. Neo is slumping off a little bit now. Listen, they're all tradable. They really are. I want to build up as good of a list as possible. So even for right now, I'll put at least, I guess, Lee on our list. Not as much the Neo. So far we got Shop, we got Woof, we got the XPEV, and we have the Lee trade. All right, catch my breath here in between. And otherwise, honestly, you got to try and skip around because you got a couple of cheapies, a couple of really expensive stocks. RADI ended up having a nice gap up earlier from this morning. Kind of a rugged chart. Not really much looking great here so far. I think there's going to be a lot better trades. Skip over it. BBW at the high, but the order book pretty thin. No need to follow that right now. It's just a waste. Now here we go. It's a waste because we could be spending our time following a much easier trade on the eyes like KC. Hey, is this going to pop up 50 cents a dollar? One can dream. But if this can give us 15, 20 cents, I think that would be a home run. So yeah, KC looks pretty strong right now, pushing over 3 already. Held it as support a moment ago, it seems. And it's still trying to push up higher here. I think this is also a Chinese stock, KC. Not like an EV company per se, but that's been moving with the China market here and there. HUYA, I know, is one as well. Had a nice morning so far, an afternoon, but kind of slumping off a bit for right now. Got to be very picky right now at this point, folks. There's just so much that's up, even outside the China stocks. There's what number 50 here is up. Number is up like 11%. So I'm gonna need your help definitely more than anything. Wayfair making a pretty good dead cat bounce, at least across the mid-afternoon. Had a nice, push in the after hours last night, just very staticky after. So thankfully we avoided this most of the day. And, right now, I got to say, it is making a much better play for us right now. It's probably more of a level 3 or 4 stock in terms of how we categorize it. But you know what? Hey, if you know what you're doing here on a stock like Wayfair, then I'll put it on our list for you folks. Looks pretty good, pretty active. Look for more of a support build over time, perhaps at 35. You got the Billy trade, BILI. Pulling back right now, this has been a really good stock to trade the last 2-3 days. So, hey, if you did well on this stock recently, then, hey, I'm sure that you'll be more inclined to follow it. Just making that pullback now at this point, kind of similar to the Neo. It's not holding or sticking as well to the highs. All right, so with that said, let's just hop over to the loser side right now. When I say I'm out of breath, I really tell you, I'm out of breath. I talk fast, but with that, I've had like 10 minutes today since 9:30 Eastern time. Oof, all right, so let's see what we have here, folks. There's a lot that's down big here too. I'm sure a couple that are like inverse ETFs, like UVXY, SQQQ. I'm sure they're here somewhere. Cheapies otherwise, like 50 cents or 82 cents or 11 cents here. Not much that's easy to borrow on top. SLDP, not much there. A little expensive. CRWD had a dead cat bounce as the markets ended up moving from Powell. And then here are some of the inverse tickers like SOXS, SQQQ. Not going to follow them. All right, so folks, I mean, that's easy, right? I mean, the market's ripping upward, holding strong right now. We're not going to find nearly anything that looks good on the loser side here. Chuck saying, since the Fed talk, ETFs, GLD, GDX pushing. Grant will be happy to hear that. He's not lying. There we go. Nice squeeze up. So, hey, if you do well on them, then I'm sure that you'll put them on your side list. Head back to tops. Hasn't really moved up too much, hasn't dropped off too much. Pass on it for right now, folks. If it ends up popping as I jump back on the mic here coming up after 3 o'clock, then you know that we'll call it out from that point. But I think there's better trades to follow at this stage so far than this tops. All right, let's see what else we got to wrap up here, folks. ALLG is just from my Benzinga screen here. It's not looking too great, although it's at the highs. I don't really have much else, at least from Benzinga. We'll check out some side list stocks here, like the cruise lines, airlines. Geez, looks like NCLH sure pulled back. Shopify, here's our bounce, 40. We were looking for this. Let's see if 40 could become that support finally that we wanted to have, right? Easy setup, and I don't like to curse that often, folks. Don't drop the E word here in the chat board. Sandy on YouTube, welcome aboard. Sandy asking here, do you think XPEV will continue upward? Well, there's a lot that plays into that. Normally, the China markets aren't going to be as strong at this time of the day compared to the U.S. With that said, though, given how much the SPY is pushing up, then all right, so Sandy asked that question at 2:42 Eastern time for those keeping track live. This is currently 2:47. So I came to this question a few minutes late, Sandy. I think we're getting the answer right now, unfortunately. Right? I mean, sometimes you just come to a question afterwards and you kind of see what happened from that point. But, it's to say at least, if the markets continue squeezing, then there is a great chance. But this is not as good of a sign at this stage. And that kind of verifies what I just said a moment ago with how the China markets don't hold as strong at this time of the day compared to the U.S. So that definitely held true there. But, listen, if you're in on the XPEV trade from right now or from earlier, still looking for that higher high, I'll bring up Bookmap one more time. Got a little extra time here, folks. See what we got. So now, Mike, we're bringing up Bookmap now for you, just so you know. Yeah, I mean, hey, this near 4 million share print at 1016, that has to be a big support to follow, at least across the afternoon. Otherwise, though, should it look to just kind of hold within this channel, then that's right around like 1040-ish, 1041. So I'd really respect this, though, more first. And then see what happens, really. If it ends up holding from this point and squeezing up, then focus on your next big volume level. And that could have been even from here after 2 o'clock, probably right around 1070, 1072. Michael saying here, Peloton continues its upward path. And that's actually been a sneaky good trade lately. It's a good sideless stock day to day, and it's really been on a nice tear. Yeah, it's at the highs. So it's hard to ignore the stock, really, right? PTON. Good call. Definitely good call. Might have a short. I don't know. Let's see. ABCL. I'm getting a ping right now. This stock's tanking. Whoa. Look at that. How about that for a little live, call out right there? I just saw from my Benzinga Pro. I saw the stock down like 15% the last 5 minutes. It was down 9% on the day. I'm like, that's not right. Yeah, this thing took a huge hit just right now. From 14 down to 12, $2 haircut. Let's see what happens here on this trade. I'm just going to jump onto Benzinga Pro right now and get the news, to which there's none. Right now, I don't have any news headline for this ABCL stock. Actually, headline from November 16th. Truist Securities initiates coverage with a buy rating, announces a price target of 29. I bet they're not happy. All right. Chuck saying XPEV in from 1050, wrote up listening during the meeting, saw that drop, so out at 1055. Nice exit there, Chuck. Good. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, hey, we don't need news in order to trade a stock, but let's see how this fills in a little bit more on level 3 and level 4. I'm going to put this on our list. It's definitely volatile enough, interesting enough, but I want to see the order book fill in a lot more here, the spread to tighten up before I look to consider to trade it. All right, folks. So with that said, sheesh, I need a little bit of a break. So I'm going to be back on the mic, folks, for all of us inside the live trading room coming up 3:10 Eastern time. 3:10, I'll be back on the mic, and then I'll be good to go to take us all the way until the market closes. But for all of us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, I appreciate you sticking with us each and every day, and for myself, each and every afternoon. Hey, if you have any questions before joining us inside our live trading room, feel more than free to send over a quick email. josh@c2trading.com is my email address. So again, I have also a couple more I have to get through from yesterday as well. So I've been slacking since my vacation, ended up coming back, just getting stacked up. So I've been trying to cut through it, and I think by tonight I should be fully good to go and caught up. But I just wanted to make that known because a couple of us I know are expecting a response back, and I'm going to do that coming up as soon as the market closes today. But hey, keep them coming, folks. josh@c2trading.com. If you wanted to join us inside our live trading room, that is, just go right down to the link on the yellow banner below to sign up. I need a break. I got to fill up the water bottle. All right, folks. Aside from that, I'll be back on the mic here at 3:10 Eastern time for all of us inside the trading room. Talk to you soon.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.